that again. Hola. Today we're going to be learning about the difference between the preterite and the imperfect cases in Spanish. So we're going to start off with the preterite. The preterite is used to talk about things in the past, and more specifically the preterite is used specifically for talking about things that are completed in the past or like a one-time deal. And the imperfect is used to describe things that happened repeatedly in the past or that used to happen. So let's get into it with the preterite. So we're going to start by we're going to learn our endings. So I'm going to draw a little chart here that we can put all of our endings into as we need it. So AR, ER, and IR, and then go to El, Asia, Oud, and then Nosotros, ellos, ellas, and ustedes. Alright, so we have our little grid drawn here with all of our stem types and all of our persons, and then let's just get right into the AR endings for the preterite, which is again past tense complete. In Latin it would be the equivalent to the perfect tense. Alright, so to start out you have E or A, because it has a macron, aste, which is my favorite, but we don't get to use it very much, and then O, and a lot of times to tell the difference between, the O for the yo form in the present and the O for the third person form in the preterite is A, the O has a macron, and B, you can typically use context to tell. And moving along, nosotros is amos, and the third person plural, ellos, ustedes, is Aaron. So very intuitive after the first three. Amos and Aaron are very simple, very, very easy. But the first three are where you're going to have your difficulty, because you have to remember to put your macrons in and to use the E instead of the O in the yo form, or jo form, depending on how you prefer to pronounce it. Oh, and I made a mistake. You don't put a macron over the aste, or the A in the aste. That one is macron free. So your endings for the preterite AR verbs are A, asteo, amos, aron, and a couple examples using those. If you wanted to say I worked in the morning rather than I work in the morning. So I work in the morning would be yo trabajo en la mañana. And instead of using the O ending, we're going to use the E ending, so it would be yo trabajé en la mañana, which is I worked in the morning. And then another example, a lot of times the preterite has the time associated with it, so when it happened. And another example would be we sang yesterday. So we sing is nosotros cantamos, and we sang yesterday is nosotros cantamos ayer, because they have the same ending. Those you typically use context to determine. Alright, so heading up next we have our ER and IR endings, which are the same in every tense, or in every person. So really we could just do one column, so let's do that just in the middle. So it's first E with a macron, and then este, again, the most fun version, and there's no macron on this one either. And then EO rather than just O, and the O still has a macron in this form, so our first three look like this, E, este, EO. And then our last three are also pretty easy, or our last two, sorry, imos and ieron. And that's going to be our ER and IR endings. So once again, it's E istio, imos, ieron, and a couple examples for that we have are tu no comiste hoy, which would be you haven't eaten today. So yeah, pretty easy. Once you memorize those first three, which are typically a little bit more difficult, it's a lot easier, and then you just have to remember for the last two, you have to use context. Alright, so now we're going to move on to the imperfect. The imperfect is used to describe things that happened in the past that aren't happening anymore, or things that could be like considered incomplete. A really easy trick is if you could say, I used to do this, it would be an imperfect, not a preterite. So I'm going to erase these endings. I don't have an eraser, so I'll just use my finger. And then try to get the eraser boogers off. Okay, so the imperfect endings are also very fun. Remember in Latin you would chant out your endings, and these would definitely make for some good chanting. So for your AR endings, it is Abba, Abbas, Abba. So there's no O anywhere. It's Abba, Abbas, Abba. And then for your last two, because we don't use the Vosotros form, it is Abamos and Aban. So you can see them right here, very simple. Very easy to tell when you're using the imperfect tense because you have the Abba sound, and for people who do have experience with Latin, it's very similar to like the bam, bas, bat, which is their imperfect chant. Oh, actually I don't need to erase this yet, just kidding. I'll fix that. Alright, and so now we're going to move on to the ER and IR endings, and like before, they are the same, which is very convenient, and they follow sort of a similar pattern of, we could call it an ABA pattern. And I'm very sorry, I just got a text on my phone from my mom about a haircut. So they follow sort of an ABA pattern, where you have Abba, Abbas, Abba, where like this yo form is the same as the L Asia form, and that is something, again, you just determine with context which one you're using. It's a lot easier in practice than you might think. So for the ER, IR endings, it is ia, ias, ia, iamos, ian. And again, super easy to use those. A lot easier to tell when you're using the imperfect than it is for the preterite, because all the endings are unique to the imperfect. And then I've got an example written down here as well. So if you wanted to say in the imperfect, he ate with his friends, it would be él come con sus amigos. But if you're wanting to say something like he used to eat with his friends, and then like you would put the qualifier, or there's like the unspoken qualifier, but now he doesn't, you would put él comía con sus amigos. So one of the big things about the imperfect is that you, like, again, you have that used to phrase where that like plays a big part, and then if you could like continue with but now they don't do that, or they do something else, it's sort of your signal to use the imperfect rather than the preterite. For the preterite, he worked on this thing, but now he's doing something else. It doesn't have like, you can still do that, but it doesn't quite pass the test, if you get what I'm saying. So your test for the imperfect is used to, but now he doesn't. Your test for the preterite is that thing is done, it is over, it is complete. It's not something that was like a repeating thing that happened. Now it is over and it's not going to happen again. All right, well, thank you guys for listening, and I hope this was a good, clear explanation of the differences between the preterite and the imperfect. Thank you.